Hello, how are you? This is Jilly with Stampin' with Jilly, and today I would like to share with you a resist type technique. During celebration this past year, they came out with a paper and it was called Foil Frenzy, which is this. And if you didn't get any, that's just fine, because you could heat emboss using copper embossing powder and silver embossing powder to achieve the same thing, and then do the same exact technique. And if you have an order to place, any $50 order, I'd love to send you card kits and have you do your own. This was titled Flowering Foil Specialty Designer Paper, because I have lots of this paper. Oh, and this paper, it comes in the rose, this geometric shape, the grid, and there's another floral one, this one right here. And they're really pretty. So I'm going to go through and do different things with all of the patterns, but today I'm going to use my sponge daubers. You put it on your finger and you dip it into the ink pad. So there's those. So this is the first card. I saw it on Pinterest. Thank you, Julie Gilson, for sharing. And I didn't stick it on the inside because I have ugly to show you on the back. If ever you're doing the distinctive stamps and if your stamp is too inked, it will just turn out as a blob. And this one came out a little bit better, but I sponged the ink onto the stamp, but I'll show you how to do that. So this is the first one, and I'm hoping to get through these quick. And then isn't that pretty? That once again is using the sponge daubers, a few champagne rhinestones, a little bit of ribbon, and once again the sponge daubers to make this soft. Okay, so let's get started on this blue one. I'll have all the products I used today listed on my blog, www.jillibling.com, and all the products, if you click on them, it'll link you to my store at jillystampinup.net, or else you could give me a call and I could order them for you, but I'd love to give you a few card kits and see what you make of these cards. So I'll set this one off to the side. So to start with the blue one, I have these papers, and the green is for this little layer right here. The white, I have a couple of different whites, and I'll be using the subtle embossing folder and the card base. So let's get started. There's that. And here is the embossing folder. It's called Subtle. And look how nice that is. So that is for this layer, and then I'll use the sponge, the Pear Pizzazz sponge, and I'll just apply a hint of color here and there. Not too much, because I want the focal to be the flower. Okay, and then let's see for the insides. Since I have this laying over here, let's jump to the insides. So for the insides, there's a stamp set that I haven't used very much, and it's retiring. So I'm on a mission to use all of the stamp sets that are retiring, because it drives me crazy if I have them and I haven't used them. So there's this, which is this part right here, and then this does the green leaves. And there is a die set that I haven't touched yet. This will cut out it all. And then this part here cuts out somewhere on here. But it cuts out the border. There it is. It's an awesome set, and I can't believe I haven't used it. And I'm not going to use it now. Ah. Okay, so I'll be using these two. So here are the flowers, and if you use blue colors or pink, it stains your polymer. And as you saw from my first attempt, stamping it directly, ink pad, and then stamping it, my ink pad has too much ink on it, So I'm going to sponge the ink on, trying to get a softer look. In sponge daubers, when I pull these out, it's been a little while since I used them. The ones that had ink on it, the ink kind of disintegrated some of the sponge. So if you have them, use them quick. It doesn't have to be too quick, but before just be aware that that might happen. Okay, so I'm hoping this comes out good. Came out just fine. I wanted it really soft, really light. So I'll set this aside until we color the rose on the front. And then the Pear Pizzazz ink, it is not too wet, so this one works just fine. To get it lined up though, it's not hard, but I want to do it good. Right there. Turned out great. Here, I'll show you. Isn't that nice? Look how nicely all these little pieces fit into there. And these little things, those are 2 little blue hearts. They're adorable. Okay, so for the words, these words come from the same set, Wishing You a Lovely Day. I'll be celebrating birthday here on this card. Okay, so stamp that. And when you use polymer stamps, if you can, use the foam pad underneath because there's no foam in here, so you need a little smush. Okay, so that looks good for the inside. So because I showed you the too much ink on it, I am going to cover this up. Okay, so that one is complete. So I'll do the same with this one. Okay, and now for the insides. This one, Julie had it where there's a layer of white, and then there's the texture layer of white. So I'd like to do the same on here. And you know, the first time I ran this through the embossing folder, this is a good tip. I put it in there and I ran it through, and it came out like this, and it was textured like that. If ever that happens to you, put it in again, run it through again, and could you even tell? I can't tell. So, never fear, there's a way to fix stuff. So if you have a heat embossed image that you're going to kind of copy this same design pattern technique, it works great for any water-based ink, such as your ink pads or markers, but it doesn't work so well with the blends. If you have the same exact paper, somehow mysteriously it works fine, but if you have an embossed image, the blends, they color right over the top. Imagine that. And that doesn't give you the achieved result. It's really nice if you emboss in white. Next I'm going to cut these out. I'm going to line them up and send them through the Big Shot. If you emboss in white, then if you color in like Lovely lipstick, it comes out as bright lipstick. That's another video. Okay, so I'm going to put this on with dimensionals, and I will use my regular size ones. Okay, and that will go right in the middle. Perfect. The ribbon, I'll show you about that, and the rhinestones. The ribbon starts out as white and silver. The rhinestones start out as clear. The rhinestones here are light blue, and the ribbon is light blue. So to achieve that, I will take my light balmy blue, which is the color I'm using here, my balmy blue blend, and I'm going to color it and then make a bow out of it. And you could do this with any of your blends. They dry quickly. If you do it with a regular marker or run it through a stamp pad, that just takes a little bit of time to dry. And if ever it happens to get wet again, and you're probably wondering why would that happen, such as you're walking in the rain and a little bit of water. This is only if you're using a stamp pad. It kind of makes the ink bleed, which isn't good. My very first card, I walked out to the car in the rain, and I had colored the ribbon with running it through a stamp pad, which I was thrilled with. I didn't know you could do that. And I had it tucked in my book, and as I walked to the car, drips of rain got on it, and all the purple ink ran down the front. I'm going to give this a second to dry. To the touch, it feels pretty dry, but it feels cool, so I know there's a little moisture in there. So that's coloring the ribbon. Then to color the rhinestones, I'll put 3 rhinestones on. Color it in a color a little bit darker than what you think you want, because the glimmer and brightness of the rhinestone shows through. And just be careful with the tip of your marker, because you don't want to ruin your marker tip. Okay, so I'm going to let those dry a little bit. To do the flower, where do I have that? Right here. Oh, you know I didn't do one in advance, so I will get this card almost done. So here is Pear Pizzazz, and I'll be doing the green leaves. And if possible, do the sponge dauber in advance of cutting it, and then cut it afterwards. If you were to cut it right now, and if you're daubering, it gets a little bit darker on the edge, where if you cut it after you do the sponge dauber, you have an opportunity to cut off the darker area. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so the Pear Pizzazz going on, and I want some to be lighter, some to be darker. That's the plan. Okay, and then Balmy Blue. And once again, I want some areas to be lighter and some to be darker. Ooh, that one's really dark. And I'm leaving the center open so I could put a hint of Daffodil Delight. This one I'll purposely make lighter. Isn't that pretty? Then I'll do these little bud things. And I'm trying to keep those a bit light. Because that one, there's so much green on it, I want you to know, yeah, that is a bud and it's blue. You know, I like blue flowers. Okay, so then a hint of daffodil in the center. I like it. Okay, so because I didn't do one in advance, you could cut this out and put it right on here. I'm going to just continue as if I did do it. The ribbon, after you use the blends on it, it's strangely a little stiffer than it used to be. Tie a bow. Ooh, the sparkles match my fingernails. So ready to get a haircut and have my nails done. Okay, a little bow, and put a glue dot on. And then for the words, let's see, this one is from another stamp set. Happy Birthday is from Piece of Cake. And this stamp set is going away, and it has a punch called Cake Builder that goes with it. I like that one too. Okay. So, as Julie did in her card, I wanted just a hint of pear showing, outlining the words because I didn't want the words to get lost. So that will go on dimensionals. Oh, I just had some here. And I wish I had that already cut out, but I'm not going to take the time to do it. Okay, so this is going to go right here. This is going to be stuck in right there. And then the little rhinestones that we colored blue, those just get placed. How about here, here. There it is. Okay. Here's the finished product. It's pretty, isn't it? It's very dainty. Okay, so for the next one is this one. Once again, using the sponge daubers. So for this project, I have all these pieces. You're the Best comes from another set that's retiring. Right here, You're the Best. And it's got a lot of great words in it. On the inside, how did I get so lucky to have a friend like you? That's put right here. These roses, once again, are using the dauber to apply the ink to the stamp. And that is from the same set, this one and the little leaf. Okay, so here is the flower, once again on the foil frenzy paper. This is inside paper. This, I'll cut out the label, and this is from Stitch So Sweetly dies. I keep using these over and over. They're wonderful dies. And this one will cut out that perfect little shape. This is from the Pressed Petals designer paper. And of course, Blushing Bride. I have a piece for right here, and then I also put another layer right here. Okay, so let's do fold the base. Bo is telling me he wants to come in. I'm hoping he doesn't bark. And then we'll attach these two pieces of Blushing Bride. And we'll attach the designer paper. I wanted something neutral so that the flower is what stands out and looks so pretty. Okay. And this goes on the front. Okay, and this is for the inside. We'll do that in a minute. This is using the dauber again. So this is Daffodil Delight, and I'll put a little hint of color here. And then I want to put some hint at the base of the flowers, because you know Mother Nature does that. She makes some pretty roses. Okay. Isn't that pretty? And then I'll use the Blushing Bride. And this pad, I think I have a lot of ink on it. It's the first time I used it. Let me see. Yeah, see how much ink is on there? You know what, let me try something different. I'm going to take some of the ink off. And then I'm going to try to make this one softer than the first one. Well, that's coming out nice. And also I'm trying to leave some of the Daffodil Delight to show through. And the little buds can be Blushing Bride. You know, this print is different than this one, which is fine. Okay, and then for the Pear Pizzazz for the leaves, let's see how much ink I have on here. Not much. I don't want it to be too dark, so I'll pick up this ink. And when I cut it out, all the areas I went out of the lines, I'll fix them. Fix them. Okay. Oh, also for the, well, you know what, that's okay. So I have some finished pieces. This has already been cut out using that die. This will just stick down flat because there will be so many dimensionals on everything else. Put it right there in the center, close to the edge. That's the one we just did. This one I also made soft, that's cut out. So this gets put on with dimensionals. And then, see, there's a little bit of green ribbon. This is from the Ornate Garden ribbon pack, and I just want a hint of that. On the card I used Pear Pizzazz. This ribbon is olive. You know what, I've got a little dimensional right there, that's perfect. But I think that they're kind of cousin colors, so yes, it is a bit darker in color, but that's okay. So there's the ribbon pack. So this, I'm going to fold it in half on the card, trim up the ends. I want them a little bit staggered. So right there is where I want the crease. And to hold that, I purposely kind of squeezed it a little bit so I know where the fold is. I'm taking a glue dot and I'll put it a little bit in from the fold. Oop, my flower is sticking to me. Okay. And I purposely want it going a little bit different directions. I'll trim the ends. Okay, and then I'll put another glue dot so I could stick it underneath the flower. And I think I want it right about there. There's dimensionals on there. That's pretty. Okay, and so for the words, use your embossing buddy. And I'm going to use Versamark ink, or you could use white craft. It doesn't matter. You're the best. Then I'll put it into white embossing powder. Okay, now I'll use my heat tool. Okay, it's done. And then I'll put dimensionals on here. I think minis would fit best. Oh, and you know, half of this is going to need dimensionals, and the other half is going to need adhesive, because the dimensionals are good for here, and then adhesive is good for there. because the flower already has dimensionals underneath it. Embossing powder everywhere. Okay, and now champagne rhinestones, which I'm thrilled are staying around. They're so pretty. And I know I could recreate this with a blend. I'm not sure what color. Maybe petal pink. And regular rhinestones. But I just like these a lot. So much before they got sold out, I bought like 5 packages of them. Oop, one of my little buds. You know what, I might need to put a little dimensional under that, a mini. How about right? I don't want it to be too much in a circle, right there. Okay, so to fix this one, I'll take a dimensional. I think I'm going to cut it in half because it's so little. Oh, that powder from embossing. Put it right there. And then this one, because this one's flapping up a little bit, I'll put another one. Oop. Okay. Now to do the inside, that's pretty. So, I have embossing powder everywhere. Oof. How did I get so lucky to have a friend like you? I'll do that in black. Perfect. And then for the flowers, once again, because my stamp pad is too wet, I'll use, here's the leaf, and here's the flower, and I'll use the dauber. And you know what? I should be stamping on the foam pad because that's polymer. Good. I'm getting a black paper so I could protect my foam pad. And if ever you do get ink on your foam pad, you can take a baby wipe or something and just kind of rub on it a bit, and it will get the ink off. Can you hear Bo out there carrying on? He thinks he needs to be in on a lovely day like today. Okay, so flowers are looking good. And so now to do the leaves, it's just a little leaf. And you would think it's pretty straightforward, but I kind of want to tuck them in behind the flowers. So I might do some masking. See, that one looks good there, but I want to get another one here, and I don't want to go over the flower. So on my first attempts where I had too much ink, I'm going to use this as a mask. So I'll protect the flower. That looks good. Maybe a few over here. Okay, where else do I need green? Maybe down here. There, those could be whole, partially whole. And then maybe something over here. How's that look? It's very sweet. Okay. So, there's the inside. I know the flower is just kind of a bit of a blob, but it's eclectic. It's artsy. Snail. We're going to be getting a new one. Oh, and the Big Shot, or the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It's going to show up in the new catalog, but I hear there might be a delay before Stampin' Up! Will start shipping them out. Darn it. I did the words a little crooked. Don't tell anyone. I'm going to pull that up and fix it. Okay, so there's 2 cards. Aren't they pretty? Also with this rose, look how pretty this one is. Isn't that beautiful? And I'll put something with this on my blog. Look at, I have all these others to color. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. I'm going to do something awesome with it. I like the suede paper, how it's resemblant of copper. Well, that has a completely different look. Ooh, maybe with a navy layer? I don't have any navy paper out. Okay, so I'll put this on my blog when I post about these cards here are done with sponge daubers. And then the other ones I have to show you. I'm not quite sure what to do with them yet. This is done with a brayer, where you take it, put the brayer into navy ink and roll across the top. That turned out okay. But I really like these that I colored in the background with the blends. This took me, each one of them, way too much time. But I was waiting for the videos to upload, and sometimes you just need to color. Aren't those pretty? That one's lipstick. This one is mossy, suede, poppy, posy, heather. But I'll do something eventually with these. And there's 2 other styles, which I plan on showing you in the upcoming videos. This is using a brayer. So here are my brayers. And I just rolled the ink on, so I plan on doing something with those. And finally, look at this. Hold on. If you layer it, isn't that nice? And that is using sponges. So I plan on doing something with this too. Not quite sure yet what, but something. Okay, so that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. If you can, click the YouTube subscribe button, and on my blog I'll post still pictures in the video, all the products used, and if you could subscribe to my blog, it's appreciated. Hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.